Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy fall. Happy November. Happy crazy hair. I've got crazy hair. Um, Come on in. Get on in here. Uh, um, yeah, welcome. Hi. I'm going to make soup today. I got some salmon, some. Actually, got a bunch of these, and the ones I don't use. Megs. Hi. Welcome, welcome. We got multiple of these. They were on sale. The deal was really good. They looked great. This one was mislabeled. I love when this happens. I'll show it off. So they're $10.99 a pound, 40% off, and that's they're not very big pieces, so a reasonable markdown. The actual price is in the code right there. This guy, obviously pretty chunky. The price I paid was just about $3 for that one. Somebody punched something in wrong when they put the code in on that one, and I spotted it. We're not using this one today. We're going to seal up and freeze this one. I think we're using that one today, and we're going to seal up and freeze the other one there as well. I will do that on my own time. Or who knows? Doc, what's up? I don't think I've ever had salmon cream soup either, so we're going to find out together. Flamingo, I see you. One of you's first. One of you's not first. I'll let you figure out who. So we have salmon. We have. It's behind my screen here. I'm going to put in a sweet potato. A little bit of bacon. I'm going to get everything out real quick. How's that shallot look? One shallot. How much garlic do we have? We have the middle of a head of garlic. We'll use some garlic. I feel like I should put one of those white carrots in here. So we're going to brainstorm real quick. I'm just going to sort of grab stuff, assemble a quick thing. Hi, Flamingo. Welcome, welcome. One of these white carrots. I don't think I want a ton of carrots, so it's got a spot on it. If we cut that, yeah, that guy. Oh, yep. My new part-time work did not schedule me today, so I am taking advantage. I can already tell you, I am working on Friday, so we are not going to be able to be here on Friday. I will make an effort to see when I can go live Thursday for Thanksgiving Day. But also, yes, yay work. I've gotten quite a few hours because it's part-time help at retail, and they need you right now more than ever for the ramp up. It's been very chill. I've actually not been thrown off by it at all. I'm sure Friday will be an absolute madhouse, but so yeah. Is that? We need some greens. I've got some parsley. We can throw some parsley in at the end. I think I want to throw some capers in this. I think the flavor of capers sounds nice with what we're doing with the fish and the soup. We could also thicken it up, maybe sour it up with a little bit of sour cream. I don't have any fish stock. Let's pray to Nuffle, the god of dice rolling. That sounds like a good one. I don't have any fish stock, but I do have some hondashi granules. If we wanted to make the broth a little bit on the fishy side, I'll keep that handy. I don't really want to go with like a meat stock. Especially since I'm already getting some bacon in there. I kind of planned this one out in my head in advance, so I'm just kind of thinking if there's anything else I just want to throw at it at this point. Let's get out the capers. Lemon juice. You know, I've been drying some lemons. I'm going to go take a peek and see if there's like a partially dried one where I can just grab one slice. I feel like a decorative lemon slice would look very good. So I'm just going to take a quick peek at the lemons. How you doing, lemons? Ooh, you're very dry. Okay, well, I'll leave them to it. They're very dry. Still could be good decorative lemon slice. Do we have white pepper? Actually, do we have white pepper? I can... This would be a good place to use it. I don't use white pepper very often. And this... White pepper. I don't use white pepper very often, but I think this would be a good place for it because it won't leave little black specks. It'll give us a nicer look to it, I think. White pepper, capers. Maybe a dash of nutmeg. Oh, we don't need stock. We can put some MSG in the cream soup to just a dash to give it a little bit of that savoriness. And then trust that the fish will impart the rest of the flavors to get it into that sort of a seafood angle. Okay, okay. Well, with our players assembled, I'm going to start prepping ingredients. I'm going to start prepping ingredients with the sweet potato. I deliberately decided to go with the sweet potato because I wanted like orange chunks. I thought the orange chunks of sweet potato would look good with the orange chunks of salmon. Plus, I like sweet potatoes. And it's sweet potato season. They're on super sale. The stores have stocked up on them and marked them all down so you can get them for Thanksgiving. Which I like. So yes, my job, my side job, I'll call this my main job and that my side job. My side gig is a game store. So it's pretty chill. Again, imagine it'll be hectic regardless for Black Friday, but overall pretty chill. Board games, Mags. A board games store. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And they're not open first thing in the morning, except on Black Friday for, Black Friday reasons. Which means I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn to get there. I can get up at a normal time of the mid-morning and still get there with plenty to spare. I don't play a ton of board games myself. Um, my main game is Magic the Gathering, which I can never recommend anyone to get into. Um, but I have been a big fan of Wingspan. That one was a lot of fun. And we just played at the store Heat, which is a racing car, like Formula One race car board game. And that was a lot of fun too. Magic is, yeah. I can't recommend the kids get into Magic because it's like recommending a kids get into heroin or something. It's, oh, except the first one's not free. Um, but I would say a majority of the employees are into Magic as well, so we'd have a lot to talk about. And they do sell cards there. So I did see that, Mags. It's not a sequel. It's like a spin-off thing. Wingspan itself also has like they're on their third expansion. That game has been doing good. And apparently, there's a game popularized by TikTok called Uzzle that you cannot get in stores. We've got a lot of people who come in asking for it. I don't need all of this sweet potato. I only need some of this sweet potato. Because I don't want the sweet potato to overwhelm the fish. I want about half and half. Once you've gotten it sort of out of there. I guess I will have some extra sweet potato to eat on my own time. Right, so extra sweet potato, much like extra rice, will be easy to use up. But I think I'm going to save just a little bit less than half of that guy. And call that the amount I need. So we'll bag this guy up, throw it in the fridge real quick. Okay, and this carrot didn't look the best. Inside looks fine, but I am going to cut it right there and lose that bottom because it looks a little bit gnarly to me. And we're going to take the skin off of our weird white carrot. Bookwoman. Hi, welcome in. Yeah, sweet potatoes are definitely the thing of the right now. I love them. I should eat them all year round because they're actually available all year round. People just forget about them. Okay. Small amount of carrot. I don't even need that bowl. I need a smaller bowl. Our white carrot. We're going to prep the shallot. We're going to also take some looks at it because this one has actually been in there for a minute. Make sure there's nothing gnarly about either side. So how's everybody doing today? How's the week been? How's winter? Fall? Whatever season we're in. Cold fall. We've transitioned from warm fall into cold fall. We actually had snow here, although it melted the following day, but it was enough to accumulate on the day it fell. So that was today. No snow. Um, there's actually some rain this morning, but a couple days ago there was in fact snow. Yeah, the shallots at one of the stores at Woodman's are consistently very large. I've found. Sometimes they're huge. I've found ones that are like bigger than some of the onions I get. But yeah, they're consistently quite large shallots. We're going to use this whole thing. I feel like doing all of my mise en place at the start today. Just to give myself a little bit of a relaxed vibe. I don't want to be prepping something and have to scramble to make sure it's ready in time so that the previous thing doesn't burn, which we've done several times right here in this very kitchen. On the other hand, Woodman's ginger is pretty bad, which is disappointing. I thought of that because the shallots are right next to the ginger. And actually nowhere near the onions, which is strange now that I think of that. They put the shallots over by the garlic, the ginger, and the hot peppers, which themselves are not anywhere near the sweet peppers. It's a layout. It's a decision. Someone made a decision to lay things out in a very, very strange way. We're doing all the vegetables first because then I can use the same board for the meats and not worry about contamination of anything. We're actually going to do the salmon last, although it doesn't need to be cut up because I have a plan to get it off of its skin that I think works. Oop. I guess we'll find out together. I have a plan to get it off of its skin without having to go through and saw it off of its skin, which we've done before and is very tedious. I think you can just scald the skin side and it'll release. And we want some garlic. We're going to kill the remainder of this little core, which comes to 3 cloves? 3 cloves. That one just about jumped out of its skin, so I will oblige it. That one... Sometimes you don't need the thingy to peel your garlics. Sometimes they just kind of jump out of their skins. Sometimes they don't. I find that they tend to jump out of their skins better if they're older, probably because the actual clove inside the paper has shrunk just a little bit. And also the paper is extra dry. We're going to go for a full crush today, so I shan't worry about smashing them. As always, I'm doing everything in advance, but as always, crush your garlic, prep your garlic however you are planning to prep it, well ahead of when you want to apply it to any heat, to give it at least a minute, to give it a chance to fully develop its garlicky flavor. And if you use a knife, like I just did, to scrape the back of one of these things, make sure that you use the not sharp side so you don't damage the blade. I almost did it with the blade, and that is a surefire way to scuff up your blade. But the back side just can be used as a nice little scraper without worrying about hurting the blade. And then if you're using a garlic crusher, either wash it immediately or get it in a little dish of water so it does not become hard when it dries out and impossible to wash. Okay. Other than the things that don't need prepping, that's all the vegetables. I'm not doing celery because I don't have any celery, and also I don't feel like I want celery. So no celery. If you don't want celery, don't put celery. On to the bacon. And I just went to the deli counter and said, I would like 2 strips of bacon, please. And they provide me with two 2 strips of bacon. And what we really want from the bacon, I am going to not use the same knife. What we really want from the bacon is the fat. We're going to use the whole thing, but I want to render out some fat right at the start to get us started. Because I have a plan to use a combination of bacon, fat, and butter for the roux to start our roux thickened cream soup. And we're going to use the bacon bits as a topper at the end. So they're going to get scraped out. But this should give us an infusion of like a smoky, bacony flavor throughout our soups. Hopefully without overwhelming anything. I thought about just asking for 1 strip of bacon. But based on the size of the salmon, I think 2 is appropriate. Although that's the second thing we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is actually the fish, which is also going to be one of the last things we do. Oop. Great. Trying to tear the plastic. Ta-da! Fish. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run my finger over it and see if I can find any bones. It looks like it's been boned out really well. There's all these little holes where they pulled the bones out, but it's good practice. This is the kind of piece that I was hoping for in general, and I found. It's closer to the tail, so it doesn't have a really big belly flap on this side, but not all the way down where the tail tapers off to nothing. I don't know why. I mean, probably just because it didn't sell. There's a bunch of salmon in the discount bin all at once, and it all looks great. But I suppose it was all dated for today, so that'll be why it was in there. They wanted to make sure to get rid of it. So we're using it today. So there. Okay. We're going to need, I think, two pans regardless. I don't think there's a way for me to escape using 2 pans for this. So I may as well use something wide and flat for the fish at the start. Wide and flat for the fish at the start. Let's use this one. All right. Over here. This one is starting to give up on me a little bit. It'll be fine for this, but we might have to retire this guy soon. We're going to very lightly oil the fish itself. We're going to put the heat on medium-low over there. We're going to very lightly oil the skin side of the fish. I don't want much at all. So just a few drops rubbed in. I did not look up if this would work. I'm just assuming that this is going to work. We're going to need the olive oil much later, so I will actually leave that out. Bring us back over to the stove. And I'm not even going to wait for the pan to heat up. I'm going to plunk the fish skin side down, like you're not supposed to do, into a pan that's not even hot, like you're not supposed to do. So, start by cooking your salmon the wrong way. And while that's warming up, I will select an ideal soup pot. Do we want that pot? Do we want the... I think we want the Dutch oven. I think we want the Dutch oven. Yeah, okay. Probably. This one's got noodle marks in it. What do you think? Stainless pot with little sucker scars on the bottom, or the Dutch oven? I'm leaning towards the Dutch oven. Personally. So what I'm attempting to do over here is when you cook salmon, the skin comes off very easily. When it's raw, the skin does not come off very easily. So what I'm hoping to do is just cook the skin enough that it'll release without cooking the whole thing so much that it's cooked through. So I just want it to cook like 2 millimeters in, and then we'll take it off the heat, and hopefully the skin will just peel off. Because I want to cut the salmon into chunks to cook it in the soup later on. And I'd rather it actually cook in the soup as opposed to cooking it and then throwing it in the soup. So that's the plan that we're going with. So we have it on gentle heat. I did not check to see if this would work before I did it. We're just guessing. And I'm going to put a couple of things away real quick. I can hear that starting to wind up. it shouldn't be too much longer. The reason you don't start salmon on the skin side when you are cooking, or in most fish, is the skin will want to contract, and it'll end up giving the whole thing an arch. So you start it on the flesh side so that you can get the flesh side to firm up before you cook the skin, so that it is got enough structure to resist that arching that the skin wants to do. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen here, but if it does, that's a sign I'm going to take it off right away. Nope. There is a bone. I missed one. They missed one and I missed one. That's a fish bone right there. Saw it visually, which is unusual. Usually you run your hand over it and you feel the tips. It looks like we're starting to render out some of the salmon's own fat. So I'm actually going to take the heat off and let it wind down real quick. Oh, we need the flour tower. The tower of flour. Out now. We need it over there by the stovetop. Okay. Well, I'm gonna move you fully off the heat because the coil stays hot. I think I can do this way. Oh, it's well, goes to show you that my my nonstick is no longer non-sticky, because that guy stuck. That is definitely a sign that I need to retire this pan. That's unfortunate. On the plus side, the skin came off. The skin came off by sticking to the pan. So the plan worked, and if the nonstick in the pan had been working, we'd be fine. Okay, well, there you go. Use an actually nonstick pan, not one that used to be nonstick, but the nonstick is worn out. Also, if the nonstick is not working on that pan, we're throwing that pan away. Because there's no reason to have a non-stick pan where the non-stick is worn out. At all. So I guess we can bid a fond farewell to this old faithful pan. It's been with me for many a year. Oh God, how many years have I had this pan? I think I got this pan in 2012. Well, I will not even bother cleaning that one out at this point. Very sad. Very, very sad. Let's get the heat on there and the bacon bits in. We're going to render out our bacon fat next. We're out of the realm of the unknowns and into the realm of, I know exactly what I'm doing now. Kinda. Somebody has squeaky brakes right outside my kitchen door. I don't know if you could hear that squeak. Oh, did I ask you guys what you were having for dinner? What are you guys having for dinner? Inquiring minds want to know. That pan was part of a set of 4, which was they look like this. It was a small pan, like a small saucepan like this, a slightly larger one, same design. That pan that I was just showing, which I've used a ton. I like the flat bottom, high side layout. And for some reason, a stock pot that has a non-stick coating on the inside. I don't know when you would need a non-stick stock pot. That one throws me off a little bit. I still use the 2 saucepans literally all the time. That wide pan had been on the outs. It had been it had been getting less and less non-sticky as it goes along, and I had largely replaced it with this pan, which is another flat, wide, high side, but it's all stainless. So it's not like I'm missing the form factor anymore. And as for non-sticks, I have my one go-to just standard non-stick skillet all-purpose, and then a little baby version for doing like an egg or something. In my opinion, that's pretty much all you need for a non-stick is that. There's not that many foods that are so sticky that you need a non-stick all the time. And for the most part, I go with a lot of the stainless. Today we're using the enameled Dutch oven, which is another good one. And we have the cast iron ones, which also provide a pretty decent non-stick coating once seasoned up. Used to be I would use non-stick everything for everything, but I've gotten a lot better at sort of understanding what's going to stick, and then will only use the non-stick for things that I am worried about. Also, if you use a non-stick pan, you can't develop fond. Fond are the little brown bits, which we actually already have. See that brown residue on the bottom? Fond is the brown residue that forms on the bottom of your pan when you're frying stuff. And it is chocked full of flavor. And you should always, especially when you're building like a soup or a sauce or a something, you want to see fond forming, and then you deglaze the pan, pick it up into the liquids in your food, and it deepens and enriches the flavor. We're going to turn these down just a little bit because I don't want to get them too toasty, but I want to get them like fully rendered out and crispy. Because we're going to use them as a topper way at the end. Where did I put that butter? I got a stick of butter out of the freezer like 2 hours ago. Where did I put it? Did I leave it in here? I did. I left it out somewhere where I would see it, because we're going to need a little bit of butter. Well, you won that set. That's the set you won. They have served me well, but they are aged at this point. Aged, and non-stick stuff wears out, which is one of the reasons you should limit your non-stick usage in general. A stainless steel pan, unless you break it, is never going to wear out. A cast iron pan, even if it gets rusty, you can just fix it up. Again, the only way you can ruin it is if you break it. They in theory never wear out. Again, unless you go out of your way on them. But nonstick is designed. It's not so much that it's designed to wear out, it's that it's an unavoidable fact that it's going to wear out. And the manufacturers like that because it means they can sell you a new one. And it's useful for the things that it's useful for, but it's not really like needed for everything. An awful lot of foods will maybe stick a little bit, but then won't like glue down. The fish skin, if I'd kept cooking that fish skin through, like, and cooked it properly and started on the other side, it would have crisped up before it, or it might have stuck and then it would have released. It would have gone through that stage. Proteins tend to do that in cast iron. You'll put them down and they'll adhere. But then if you keep cooking it like you're supposed to, it'll release. The gummy proteins initially will bind to the surface, but then they will get cooked out and it'll release and you'll get a sort of a crusty surface. That's the crust, the beautiful color that you get on a piece of meat that you do in cast iron. Okay, these bacons are looking pretty good. We're going to put them right back in the bowl I got them out of. With our slotted spoon. Because we don't want to scoop up the fat, we just want the meaty bits to come out. Come on. There we go. Because the fat is going to form the basis of our roux. Although I'm also going to start our shallot and carrot in here on low heat to get them moving a little bit as well. Okay, we've got, there's probably about a tablespoon and a half in there. You get quite a bit of fat out of bacon. I mean, obviously, but that once upon a time, we didn't have access to the various cooking fats we have now, and something like bacon or salt pork or any of those sort of fatty cured meats, that was a primary source of cooking fat. You'd start a lot of dishes the way I just did this one, by putting some fatty meat chopped up in your pan by itself to render out the fat. And sometimes you'd remove it like I just did, sometimes you would not remove it like I have also done in the past and build everything else on top of it. We did one. What was it? It was the pastisada. The pastisada had me start with bacon right at the beginning. And then if you'll remember, it never told me to use the bacon, to put the bacon back in. And I think at the time I was like, I want to use this bacon. But I think the point of that was that it was a very old recipe. And it was deliberately using the bacon only to get the fat started in the pan. In lieu of butter or oil. Although Croatia's on the Mediterranean, so they should have access to plenty of olive oil. So I don't know. We're gonna sweat these guys out. It's a little hard to see down in my pot here. But I've also salted them. I'm not going for and I've got it on medium low, because I want to sweat them out without browning them too much. I'm not worried about getting them super tender, because they're going to simmer with our soup. You are having bacon, potato, onion pot pie. That sounds very good. I like all of those things. I'm having bacon, potato, onion, fish soup. So, great minds, I guess. It's the season. It's the season for bacony, potatoey things. It's the season for roots to really come in and do their thing. We're going to need a tablespoon of the butter. We're probably going to need 2. Probably going to need 2, one right at the end, but I'm only going to cut one now. And a tablespoon for our flour. I looked up some recipes to try to figure out what I was doing, and I'm not following any of them because they all sounded kind of like, that's not what I want to do. Those are looking pretty well sweated. We're going to go in with the garlic. Push that around. We're still on medium-low, so we shouldn't have it at risk of instantly burning. We're going to push that around until it's nice and garlicky fragrant. My hope with these various ingredients I've selected is that at the end, the only things that will stand out from the background will be the fish and the potato. Tablespoon of butter goes in. Get that guy melting. We're going to put in 2 of flour, since we already have about a tablespoon's worth of bacon fat in there. And we do not want a dark roux today. We want this to be a light roux. So we're just pushing everything together. All gentle-like. I suppose I should get the milk out. I'm not going to put it in until that last little pat of butter in the center, which you cannot see because it is behind the spatula. That little guy right there needs to be melted and the flour incorporated. Take our heat down even just slightly more. I don't see any loose flour, so let's start an unmeasured quantity of milk. I'm starting with a smaller dose here, and I'm going to use it to scrape up our bottom. Because again, I want that fond. We're thickened. We need more liquid. We're going to keep doing this. And yeah, I'm not seeing any big brown spots on the bottom anymore. So I'm going to say that we are sufficiently deglazed. Deglazing with milk is not the best thing to deglaze with. It's the proteins in the milk will generally also try to stick to the bottom. And it also has no alcohol in it. Alcohol helps deglazing because the alcohol boils off very, very fast and vigorously. But as we're making a soup, I'm happy to add more liquid as we go through this. And if we feel like we need some thickening toward the end, I also have just some straight up cream I can add to this to thicken it up a bit more. But before then, now's the time that the potato goes in. We will get some starches out of the potato. We're going to bring it back up to a 5 on my dial. We'll get some starches out of the potato, which should help thicken. We want this to simmer until the potatoes are most of the way tender. And yes, I am just making this up as I go along. Except I made this one up as I was going along earlier today. In my head. Like, this should work, right? This should work. There's no reason this shouldn't work. It was my dialogue with myself earlier today. Let me give what we've got going a quick taste. Needs things. I'm immediately going to add some white pepper. And some MSG, because it definitely needs to get woke up a little. And another pinch of salt. Also, more heat, because it wants to come back. I want this to come back to a simmer, and it is currently not even attempting one. Now, if I was being pretentious and fancy, I would have strained out. Well, I probably would have scalded the milk with the garlic and shallot in it, and then strained it away to make the soup just completely clean white, and then done the potatoes, because I wanted the potatoes and the salmon to be the only like visible chunks. But as I stir this around, the shallot bits are definitely not invisible. They're tiny, but they're not invisible. And there's a few little carrot pieces that are still also somewhat visible. This needs... It's milk-based as well, so I don't want to just boil the heck out of it. Nutmeg might be good. I feel like this is going to be... Ooh, it's already a lot better. Nutmeg might be good. Sure, let's give it a little bit of nutmeg. Oh, and bay leaf. I know I've poo-pooed bay leaves in the past, and I will continue to do so now. Even as I find my little container of bay leaves. That's not bay, that's cinnamon. That's not bay, that's sumac. That's not bay, that's star anise. I don't know that nutmeg specifically goes with salmon, but nutmeg goes with a cream soup for sure. We're going to take 2 because they're a little bit on the small side. Get them in there. I don't want lots of like little flecks floating around as much as I can help it. But I think nutmeg sounds good, so we're going to throw some of that in. I do like nutmeg. I think it is an underused spice, and I think in part that's because the pre-ground stuff has very little flavor. Stir that through. It's doing something. It smells like... It smells like... I can smell the butter. A little bit of the bacon. I think the flavors will wake up as it heats. I don't want to put the salmon in until it is... I want to make sure the potatoes are done before I put the salmon in, because the salmon will cook much, much, much faster than the potatoes. And if I put it in too early, we'll risk the salmon being overcooked if I end up needing more time on the potatoes. I'd rather the potatoes be slightly over than the salmon be massively over, or the potatoes be under. Undercooked potatoes are terrible. And yeah, we're kind of going for gentle flavors today, I think. It's just sort of the way this has gravitated. Cream soups tend to be on the milder side. Even though salmon has among fish, a more distinctly fish-forward flavor. It's not like it's this massive, overwhelming. It's no sardine. But if we make this too flavorful, we'll lose some of that. Oop. Definitely want to turn that down a titch, I think. What I don't really want to have to do is re-scrape the bottom a lot. Yeah, we're already having a little bit of stickage on the bottom. That'll be milk proteins and potentially some of the flour. Which is why I had been stirring it, but I think I relaxed. I was a little bit too relaxed on it. So it's not that it needs to be stirred continuously, but it needs to be stirred attentively. Or you'll end up scraping the bottom. And if it does stick, we need to make sure to scrape it off the bottom quickly before it has a chance to potentially burn, because it'll burn even underneath all this liquid just by being stuck down there. It'll also, I have found, and I don't know if I'm imagining it, but it seems like when you have something like this, if it sticks to the bottom, it'll form an insulating layer and it'll actually prevent bubbling. I might be imagining that, but I feel like I've looked at something that felt like it wasn't bubbling very much, and then I'll scrape the bottom, and then it'll start bubbling vigorously. For example, we're bubbling vigorously. We can take it down again. We don't need big bubbles. We don't need big bubbles today. We want little bubbles today. Okay, I'm going to give it another taste. See what we're working with. It is definitely noticeably thickening. Ooh, ooh, it tastes a lot better. I think it just tastes like the things that are in it have had a chance to infuse their flavors into the milk a bit. It tasted very much like milk on my first taste. Now other things are coming forward. But yeah, and this step right here is really why I wanted to do all my mise en place ahead of time for this specific recipe, because I knew I would have to stir it quite a bit. I don't think we're going to have an issue with thickening, and I don't think we're going to need the hondashi at all, because it definitely already has a good flavor to it. We might even thin it out with just a little water. But the roux is doing its job, and we are developing a nice sort of glossy soup. And I'm sure the potatoes are giving us some of their starch as well. But I don't really want to add more milk. I think I would add more water. I would add some water to thin it out at this stage. I wouldn't add any wine. A little bit of wine flavor might actually be nice in this, but there's no way to cook it out, so you'd end up with a little bit of that alcoholic, to it, because you'll never boil it clean without a dry bottom to go for. We could put in just a dash. I feel like it needs just a little bit of acidity, and I'm worried if I put in lemon, it will curdle. Let's give it a cup of water. Let's give it some water. Let's run our water hot first, so let's not completely tank our temperature. Oh yeah, the water was cold. The water cools off very quickly these days because the basement's chilly. Because I feel like we're going to be in here long enough to cook it back down from having added some water. I also don't want it to form a skin, so that's another reason to keep stirring it. And I don't want it to form a crust around the edge either. So lots of reasons to keep stirring this guy. Extra water will give us time. We'll just cook it back down to that thick. That thickness it was at was actually pretty much my target thickness, but our potatoes aren't done, so we can't be there yet. So we have to come back. I think it needs some more pepper. Tasted like it was a little bit under-pepped. So some more white pep. And the tiniest dash of cayenne. The teensiest dash of cayenne, just to give it some character. How do I get acidity into this without curdling it? Or do we just admit that we can't have that without curdling it. Or do we grab one of those dried lemon slices and just chuck it in and pray? I'm going with option chuck it in and pray. I think. How you doing, lemons? So lemons were 10 for $1 at the in the bargain bin. So I grabbed a lot of lemons yesterday, and I've been drying them since yesterday. So we've got some dried lemon slices that are not quite fully dried now, but because they take a while. But do we think that if I threw some dried lemons in here, they would have enough acidity left to curdle the milk? It's starting to smell really good. It's starting to smell like a potato leek soup. We need that heat back up because I want to get it closer to bubbling. What do we think? What do we think? Do we run the risk? Well, the answer is yes. The answer is I've already committed to doing it, but we're chopping the lemon up instead of throwing it in as a whole slice. Also, that lemon is not dry. So a good test to see if the lemons were dry, and they're not. Okay, that's drop a piece. That's 2 dried lemon slices. Let's give the bottom a quick scrape to make sure I haven't ruined the bottom. And let's pray that I have not ruined my soup. Bottom's not looking like it's stuck. Okay. While that's doing that, I'm going to brush my hands off, cut up our salmon, which has fully cooled over here on this side. There it is. We're going to split it right down the middle. cut it into some decent chunks. It's trying to flake apart, of course, on the side where it's been lightly cooked. But it's still cutting well. So we're going to have some floating flakes, and it should have some decent, like, chunky bits. And you can scrape that whole thing in there when I get that far. Ah. I'm not seeing any bits forming. So unless it does it late, we might have gotten away with it. We're bubbling notably. We also don't want to boil it too much because, again, milk-based. We want to avoid curdling the milk at all. We want this to be like a nice, smooth thing. I think we're going to finish it with a little bit of cream right at the end. It does keep trying to form a skin around the edges. Although it's very hard to see because it's white on white. Maybe selecting a white vessel for this was not ideal. What do you think? How are the potatoes at this stage? They're sinking, but are they still hard? It's been a while, but it's also been not very hot, so... They are very close. They are ever so slightly under. That one was ever so slightly under. The flavors, though. Ooh, boy, the lemon is, the lemon made a change. We invited that lemon to the party, and it took over the party a little bit. But that potato was close enough that... Have you been looking at the chopped fish this whole time? I've been over here stirring, talking about the stirring, and you guys have been looking at the chopped fish. Speaking of which, in goes the fish. And all the fish drippings. Now, we're cooking it until the fish is cooked, and then we're done. Well, done-ish. Almost done. Getting there. I don't think we're going to need another tablespoon of butter. I think I'm going to say no another tablespoon of butter. And we won't need any more milk. We can put that away. I'm going to give us... I got these out because I absolutely think this is the right flavor. But I do not think we want any juice. So we're going to scoop out some capers. Put them in. Capers are so nice. Very tasty, very delicious thing. They're a flower. They're a flower bud of the caper. The plant is called a caper. Yeah, look at how chunky. Nice chunky, a nice chunky soup. Just what the doctor ordered on a chilly autumn day. Do we top with parsley, scallions, both, neither? Those are my four options. I can actually potentially do a poll for that if anyone is interested. We don't do polls very often. I don't know that anyone even pays attention enough to do polls. What do you think? Parsley, scallions, both, neither, as a topping, a sprinkle topping. We're not stirring that in regardless. Are we curdling? I don't think so. I also have a plan for plating. I have a vision today for plating, which very rarely works out when I have a vision. But I always go for it. Eventually, I will. Okay, I want to bring this back up to a bubble before I say the fish is done. Just to ensure that it is at least heated to the point where things are bubbling. I should also taste it before I final commit. We have a little bit of splitting, curdling. Ooh, what are you doing to me? Ooh, ooh, baby. Ooh, ooh, just like that. We are, in fact, bubbling, so take off the heat. It did split a little bit, which is unfortunate, but I did it to myself. Which means we are on to plating. I want our plating to be mostly to the middle. I want these big chunky bits to kind of ride up on each other in the middle. That's my vision. That was the vision I had when I said, ooh, we could plate this in a wide, flat plate and have the chunky bits kind of perching in the middle. The soup part souping its way around the outside. The bay leaf doesn't need to be there. Like so. You can see on my spoon that we do not have a nice smooth soup anymore. It has curdled. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Did we decide if we wanted parsley, scallions, both, or neither? A little rim of oil. For color, yes, for color. There were 4 options, and none of those options was color. Parsley or scallions, or neither, or both. So you've eliminated neither. Well, it's going to be parsley. Oh, you just said parsley. Okay. It was going to be parsley because that was the first one I grabbed when I went in there. I need the board back. We're going to cut it up. We're not going to tear it. We're going to cut it and sprinkle. It looks nice. I kind of regret the lemon, although the flavor is good. Just because the lemon is 100% what has caused that very, very light curdle, and I bet you it's going to get worse as it cools more. Okay. And that's the soup. I call it soup. You're getting a little bit of glare. I gave it a circle of olive oil, which floats on top of the soup, of course, because the soup is mostly water and the olive oil is oil. But yeah, there it is. I'm going to go take a picture. I'm going to carefully go take a picture. And we're going to come back. We're going to taste this. I'm going to move some things that I left on my camera station, namely a bag of chips. Oh, I should redo the camera station. That should be the project, right? Okay, let's come back and talk and taste about this. Okay. For starters, I want to taste just the roux, just the broth. There's no texture to it. So even though it visually has curdled ever so slightly, there's no texture to it. It's very smooth in your mouth. Could be smoother. It's not got that sort of perfect velvetyness. I think going back, I wouldn't do the lemon because it hasn't added that much flavor in the long run. Probably a better way to have done that. It's creamy, it's mild, it's savory, it's a little bit buttery. But of course, you don't get a bowl of soup like this and just drink the liquid. You eat the whole thing. So we'll take a big old bite. The potatoes are perfect. I hit the right point. They're not mushy. They've still got some structure. The salmon, likewise, just about nailed that. It sort of flakes apart in your mouth, but it's still in reasonably large pieces that you can scoop up or avoid, I suppose. Warm, hearty. You can sort of gives you that sort of warmth that runs down your throat and sort of spreads through your chest. Real like stick to your ribs feeling. It is like a chowder. That was sort of where I was landing with my methods. I was thinking, I'll do this kind of chowder style. But what I had was salmon, so I went with salmon. Salmon is very mild in this. It has imparted some of its flavor into the soup in general, but in doing so, it has given up some of its flavor. So the salmon is pretty mild, even though it wasn't in there very long. Also, this was farm salmon, so it's not the most flavorful you're going to find regardless. The bacon provides a nice little chewy texture. I'm not actually getting much flavor out of it. If you make sure to bite into it directly, you definitely get little bursts of bacon flavor, but it's not like it's bacon, 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 bacon. It's real, just a little bit of bacon. It could, honestly, probably stand a little bit more bacon because the bacon is not jumping out super strong. I'll probably take the rest of that and just throw it in the pot. I like the idea of having the bacon be a sprinkle on the top, though. But yes, it's got chowdery. It's got chowdery vibes to it. It's not like it's not. Oh my god, this is so amazingly flavorful and delicious, and I'm blowing my mind. We've done that a few times. What this is it's warm, it's creamy, it's comforting. The lemon, I actually want to bite into a piece of the lemon. I don't know if it's been in there long enough to stew like we had done before. That was my hope, but I kind of forgot about it. It should have gone in right at the beginning if I was going to do that. It definitely still has a little bit of its bitterness. It has lost. It has lost some of its bitterness. It's not like I'm biting into it and I'm getting that flavor, but it's not completely gone. So I think the lemon was a mistake. Of all the things, I think the lemon was a mistake. And super easy to leave out because it's highly unusual that anyone would have just a pile of dried lemons to throw in. That's the ingredient you're going out of your way to get, typically. It has a nice texture, though. I think if it had gone in right at the beginning and been fully cooked out, it could have worked. As it is, I'm probably going to be picking around the lemon pieces. I almost wish I had just thrown them in as big individual circles so that they'd be easier to pick around. That's unfortunate. That's definitely an unfortunate element to this. Well, we almost made this really perfect just by kind of winging it, and then I screwed it up in the 11th hour. Well. But yeah, overall, that was pretty good. It was a little bit fussy, as it was a milk-based soup and a roux thickened soup. I definitely couldn't walk away from it. I had to stir it pretty attentively. Not continuously, but pretty attentively, because it kept trying to sort of cling to the sides and the bottom, and it definitely would burn if you did that, if you let it do that. So it was very good, but I don't know if it's the easiest thing, just on account of you have to sit there and, not that that's hard, but it's tedious. People will lose interest. I know people who would lose interest. I almost lost interest. But yeah. But other than the lemon, which is the source of all of our problems today, and I had to go out of my way to add, it's very good. Very fall, sort of mild, comforting. Everything's kind of tender. A little bit of sweetness from the sweet potato is quite nice. If it was just regular potato, you'd have the starchiness, but you wouldn't have that countervailing sweetness. Mags is attempting a pumpkin cornbread for Thursday. I have never heard of such a thing, so I wish you luck. I love cornbread, and I love pumpkin things, so it concept sounds good, but I never heard of combining them like that. Let us know. Let us know. Found a ton of recipes. Okay. Well, I bet you they'll steer you in at least the general right direction. Don't forget to give us a picture if you can. I would love to see it in Discord, which is... Where would it be? It would be there. No. There, on that side. Above chat, wherever chat is. I pinned a link to our Discord at the top of chat. But yeah, so I guess that's it. I was definitely fully on track to making this flawlessly, and then bungled it on purpose right at the end. Uh, I don't know why I did that. Even as I was doing it, I was talking about how I was worried it might curdle it, and it did that. Oh well. Let's rate us out. I don't have much to say. It's not like it's blowing my mind, and it's not like it's anything I wasn't expecting, except for the lemon. Um, so I don't know that I have a ton more to say about it. So I'm going to move us along, and moving us along means we're going to rate us out. As I said at the beginning of stream, I will not be here on Friday. There is no way. Yeah. Yeah, there is no way I'm going to be able to get away to be here on Friday, but I will attempt to work out something to do on Thursday for Thanksgiving Day. Um, yeah, you guys are going to end up wherever I can fit you, though, so it might be at an odd time. Um, but yeah, Friday, since my new work is retail, they need me. It is literally all hands on deck. Um, for Friday, for Black Friday. That's going to be fun. That's going to be exciting. At least I'm not on the crack of dawn shift that day. There's a crack of dawn shift that day. There's people starting at 6:30, 6:30 in the morning on that day for the doorbuster nonsense. Thankfully, I'm not in the doorbuster crew, but boy. Um, Anyways, let's see who's on. We're going to rate us out. What time is it? Almost 7. On a Monday. On the Monday before Thanksgiving. Let's see. Chef J-Tay is making duck stock. And then turkey and rice soup later. He's been on for 5 hours. He's going to be wrapping at some point. Let's see. Thy Robster isn't cooking today. He's building a computer. We go see Jim. Jim's on at an odd time. Let's go see Jim. Let's go see Jim. So yeah, I just said my thing where I'm not gonna, definitely no way I'll be here on Friday. I will make every attempt to do something on Thursday for the holiday. Since I'm food themed around here and it's a food holiday, that would be nice if I could link those two things up somehow. So yeah, let's all drop off at Jim. I'm not sure what Jim's doing. He's going to be playing at some point Little Kitty Big City, which is an adorable game about a cat exploring a city. So that's going to be fun. He's talking about something right now. Jim's a good guy. He does Legos. I've seen him cook, but it's definitely not his main thing. He hates soup. So we're going to go talk about soup that I made with him. I'm sure some of you already know Jim. So yeah, I guess that's the long and short of it. I would love to see pictures of your Thanksgiving food in the Discord, linked at the top of chat, if you would like to, no pressure. Otherwise, yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.